That's all our higher order components changed. Now let's dive into our containers, which of course were our primary state containers thus far. Let's start with orders. Orders is a class-based component and therefore, well, you know the game. We change it to a functional component. We also now need to adjust the export down there and export orders with a lowercase o. The rest can stay as it is. We want to still use the error handling higher order component and connect it to Redux. But of course, inside of our component, we need to make some changes. Obviously, component did mount will not work anymore. We're not using state though, so we'll not add the use state hook, but to replace component did mount, use effect. And then here we call use effect, and I pass in a function, and I move this props on fetch orders in this function. And to ensure that it only runs when this component mounts, I pass an empty array as the second argument. This props is wrong though, it should just be props in all these places, because again, our props are now received as an argument here. Now we have to remove the render method thereafter, because we're in a functional component. We should simply return JSX, not in some render method. And now in here, in all the places where we use this props, that should just be props, of course. And we now have a component that should work again. If I do log in so that I can view my orders page, if I go there, this loads and this displays my orders, which I made off screen. So don't wonder if you didn't see me order these burgers. So that is working. Let's move on to the checkout component now. In that component, again, we have a class-based component. So I'll name it const checkout, or I'll name it checkout and store it in a constant. We get our props here, and then we have a couple of functions or previously methods here. Let's turn them into functions stored in constants by adding the const keyword. Make sure that you change this props to just props, because again, we're getting it as an argument here. And remove that render method here, and also one closing curly brace, and adjust the export name to meet your constant name. Now, in the JSX code we have up here, all the places where we use this props should now just refer to props. And where I previously called my methods with this, well, that can be removed because these are now just functions in this function body, so I can call them like that. So this is the checkout page. Let's now save this and let's see if that works. If I build a new burger, order now, continue, and here I have a problem with my path. Cannot read property path of undefined in the checkout page. Let's see what's wrong. The problem we'll have here is in the app.js file where I set up routing. There I had to use all these render props or these render methods to render my components that are loaded lazily. And actually what we do get there as an argument in all these places is a props object, which we should just forward to the components so that these have access to these routing specific props that allow us to get information about the path or load a new page. So for that, you can simply spread your props here in curly braces on that component, and props are received as an argument here, passed in automatically by React Router. So now if we try that again real quick, and I click order now, this looks way better, and now I can also click continue, and I see this order form, and that now all works as it should. So important adjustment here when setting up the routes that you forward the props. With that, the checkout page has also been changed. We can therefore get rid of the component import up here. We don't need it anymore.